Good morning, everybody. This is Jackie from the Oracle Times, and I'm going to be doing the Cancer 2020 July forecast. Right, I'm going to say, as I always do, I record live from the Bushveld in South Africa, so it's beautiful here, although it's really cold at the moment, unbelievably cold, unsneezingly cold for us. Well, most of you guys wouldn't think it's cold. We are frozen. Okay, so the internet can be a little bit dodgy at times. I've had a really good run lately. It's been kind to me. It hasn't gone missing. But if I go missing for a few moments, please bear with me. I will be back very shortly. I have shuffled the cards already. I'm going to be doing oracle cards, tarot cards, as well as relationship readings. Let's start with the oracle cards and have a look what's coming up for Cancer in July of 2020, right? So, there's one card wanting to jump out already. And that says fork in the road, okay? So what one is seeing here in July 2020 for Cancer is possibly a choice has to be made. A decision has to be made about which route to take. It's an either or kind of decision. It's also usually not a sudden decision. This is a choice that you've known has been arriving for you for a while, but you finally reach that point where you have to make a choice. You have to make a decision. Shall I do this? Shall I do that? Shall I go here? Shall I go there? This is always a heart versus mind decision, okay? Your mind is saying this is what I should do. Your heart is saying that this is what you need to do. Go with your mind, interestingly enough, this time. Normally I say go with your heart, but straight this time came go with your mind. It's maybe that this needs to be more of an intellectual decision than a heart decision. That's not something I very often say either. I'll normally say go with your heart decision. But there's something about possibly your feelings being too involved in this decision, and that's like murking the waters, okay? So it's definitely a choice, definitely a decision coming up about which route to take. It's not going to be a surprise. You know about this already. It's just that the time has arrived that finally that decision needs to be made. Right, next card up for you guys, because I have shuffled already, so I'm just doing a little reshuffle, is breathe. This is coming up all the time at the moment. This is actually really good advice when one needs to make a choice or decision that could be difficult. Is some really deep breaths. And I know that sounds like so simple, come on, you know. But actually it does work. It really works on so many levels that I'm not even going to go into it here. But every time you need to, every time it comes up in your mind where you're thinking about, okay, now I have to make this choice or decision, take some really deep breaths for a while, and you see it actually helps you to bring clarity. The other thing this card can also say is don't rush into that decision making. Take a moment to make those choices, okay? Take a moment to think about it. Take a moment before you actually think, no, this is the choice I'm going to make. This is the decision I'm going to make. Breathe a little, okay? Give it breathing time. It's not that you have to rush into this. You don't have to. There's time to breathe before you make that decision. Right, let's see what the next card is that comes up for you, Cancer, and it's a leg up. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so you're going to get help with making this decision. You're going to get help with taking this decision forward. You're not going to be doing this on your own. Even if you feel like at the moment you're doing this on your own, you're not. Someone's going to step in. It could be a person, an organization, whatever it may be. It's going to step in and help you with this choice or decision you need to make. It's also going to help you with a way forward with this choice or decision that needs to be made. So you're not doing this on your own. And help is always good. It's always nice. Okay, I'm going to take one more card for you guys. One more oracle card. There are other cards. A never-ending story. Okay, so be aware of telling yourself the same old story, okay? The same old story never has a good ending. So if you're telling yourself a story that doesn't have a good ending, that's a clear indication. Bad story, scrap it, let me tell another one, okay? It's a very easy way to tell when you're telling the same old story. So be aware of when you're making that choice or decision of telling yourself that same old story. Like I said, it has a bad ending. That's how you know it's that story. Abandon that story. Tell yourself a new story, because you know what? There are new stories coming up now. There really definitely are new stories coming up now. I want to grab one more card for you guys because I want to see what your new story is going to be. Okay, so let's see what that is. Flexible. Okay, so look, we're all getting this advice at the moment. This card's coming up for everybody. It's a case of let's see how this unfolds. Let me bend and fold with the story. Let me not make up my mind what the outcome is going to be yet. Let me follow the contours and paths that I'm going to be led along. That's the biggest guidance and the best guidance coming through for you at the moment. So things are going to be twisting and turning and weaving. Go with it. Don't make any hard and fast, I don't want to say decisions, but make any hard and fast ideas of how things are going to work out, because they're going to be taking slightly different routes, and your best opportunities and potentials will be in waiting and seeing and going with the flow of where it goes. Never an easy thing to do. Even for me, trust me, even when I hear those words, I'm like, oh. But you know, if we can learn to be flexible about things, if we can learn to just see how things are going to unfold, we actually see those little cracks, those little opportunities, those little potentials that we miss when we're very rigidly trying to follow something, or when we have very rigid ideas of how a thing should work out. Right, I'm going to do tarot cards for you as well. This is a very special tarot deck. It's unusual. It is magnificent illustrations, but it's not a traditional tarot deck. Because of the illustrations, it tends to be very intuitive. So I will always look at the illustrations and see what the messages are that are coming with it, in combination with whatever actual tarot card it is. So first card up for you guys is the Three of Earth. And the Three of Earth is a very nice card. Look how he is planting. There's a card behind it. I will read that afterwards. Okay, so the Three of Earth. He's planting seeds, and there's a squirrel. Now, the squirrel is always an indication of doing the work. Squirrels will gather acorns and they will store them for winter. It's that kind of thing for you as well. And he's planting seeds. You are planting the seeds of your future at the moment. And you're going to have to gather all your little resources so that you can have them in the future when things start flourishing, or when you get quieter times. So July has that kind of feel, and that's the kind of energy that's coming in for you at the moment. You're planting the seeds. And I think that's also why the flexibility is involved here. So you can't expect instant returns. You can't expect instant things to manifest. The seeds are being planted. And you just need to do that little squirreling work. You know, that going and collecting the things, storing them, the necessary little things that get the show on the road for you. I want to see. It's interesting, in his palm he almost seems to be pouring a little bit of blood into that soil. Now that sounds a bit gross, but you know what that is really about? Is a little bit of sacrifice that needs to be made on your part, okay? So you may need to put a little bit of extra work in. This isn't blood, sweat and tears kind of work. There's another card for that one in this deck. This is just putting that little bit of sacrifice into something. Perhaps when you make that choice or decision, you know you're going to have to make a little bit of sacrifice to make the soil that you plant your seeds in fertile. So that's more than what it's about for you. The card you got behind it was the journey. Okay, so it's very, very suitable to this whole reading. You are setting off on a journey. If we look at this card, it's half in the dark, half in the light. The journey could lead you either way. It's going to depend on you. There's a butterfly, which is always transformation into something new. And basically there is that feeling of, look at the two tunnels in it. Can you see in the picture? He's on the light side is a doorway, on the darker side is a doorway, but both are beautiful. Even the darker side has stars in it. It's not gloomy by any means, but you're setting off on a journey now. And this card is very similar to that fork in the road kind of decision. You need to choose which one you want to go along. And you know what? There's no wrong decision here. But what there does need to be is a conviction in the route that you take, and flexibility once you take that route. There will be transformation. There is a butterfly there. The light is always also coming in at an angle. Can you see that from the top corner downwards? Which says to me that no matter what the choice is that you make, the light will be filtering into it eventually. Okay? You will see the way to go. You will see the path that will be lit up for you. Very sort of obscure or at the moment, but the message is clear for you. You are setting off on a journey. You are planting the seeds. There might need to be some kind of sacrifice that needs to be made. Be flexible about what happens, and don't tell yourself that story with the unhappy ending in it, okay? This is interesting. So this is the 9 of air, and it's the body-mind card, it says on here. And this is about that feeling of everything within you being aligned with where you're going, okay? That is what this card is really speaking about, that ultimate alignment with where you are going. And sometimes the mind can be, and I get the word, a little bit of laziness coming in here, okay? The body is not willing to whatever it is you need to do. Maybe you've decided in July you want to do a good exercise thing. You want to be fit and you want to do exercise, and the body's like, I don't know about this. But the mind is saying, it's time you did that. So it could really be a mundane decision like that. And I think for some of you, that is very much the case. You know, with all of us having gone through what we have at the moment, we spent a good deal of our time eating. I know I did. So it's now maybe like a time of, well, I need to start looking to eating a little bit more healthily, doing a bit more exercise, taking a bit more care of myself physically, okay? It could be that. So the body is not that willing, but the mind has decided that's what's going to be done. So that could be the choice or decision that needs to be made in July. Like I said, that's a very mundane, but for a lot of us, that could be what needs to be done. But it could be more than that as well. You'll know, you will see when it comes what that story is. Right. Now let's do the relationship reading. So I read what it says on the cards for you guys, because otherwise you ask me what it said. But then I'll tell you the story that comes up with the selection of cards that comes up. And I'm going to read for those of you that are in established relationships, as well as those of you looking for relationships. And remember, relationships are part of life. Whether you have a love relationship or not, you have relationships in your life, and they play an enormous part in how life plays out because of how you feel about them. Right, so first card up is engagement, okay? On this card it says your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. So whatever relationship you have that is foremost in your life at the moment, that you are focused on in your life at the moment, that is important to you. And as I said that, my little Dashund, who by the way is lying on my desk where I should be doing the reading, but it is so flippin' cold, he refuses to sleep on the floor. You can't blame him. His little bed is on my desk and he's sleeping on that. Okay, so he looks up as me, as I said, and the most important relationship in your life, it was his birthday yesterday, guys. So yes, he's important in my life at the moment. He's only 3. Anyway, back to the subject. So any relationship in your life that is the focus in your life is going to reach a higher level of commitment in July. For those of you that don't have relationships and are wanting a relationship, in July the path starts veering, where you're possibly going to meet somebody whom you can have a committed relationship, a serious relationship. Those are the kind of energies that are around for you in the month of July. Okay, let's see what the next card is for you guys. And deception is the card. On the card it says someone is wearing a self mask, a false self mask, sorry, in this relationship. This isn't as serious as it looks. What it's about is probably you are not being entirely honest with your partner about how you feel. Okay, sometimes we will go along with things because we're worried if we say to our partner, you know what, I just don't like going on Sundays to have lunch with so-and-so. It's not my thing. You're worried your partner's going to get upset and they won't like you anymore. Or you've always gone with them somewhere, but it's not your thing, and you're worried about telling them that. You're not being entirely authentically yourself. And this is not about doing things for your partner that are necessary for a relationship. This is about how you are feeling about it. It's maybe time to say to your partner, this is how I genuinely feel about it, and I love you dearly, and I'd love to do lots of things with you, but this is not me, okay? It's that kind of thing. You're not being your authentic self, and July is maybe the time to express that to your partner. If you're looking for partnerships, be very aware of in July, be yourself. Do not try to be somebody else, okay? What happens then if you are someone else is you draw in the kind of person who's not your type because you're presenting someone else. In order to draw in the kind of person you can have that really committed relationship with, okay, you need to be yourself. Totally yourself. Yourself is brilliant and wonderful, and there's someone out there who specifically wants that. Okay, so that's the message coming up with that. Let's do one final card for you guys. Release your ex. Okay, on this card it says the time has come to clear your energy. What this card is more about than anything else is, and maybe this is where the deception card comes in as well. You have a preconceived idea of a certain aspect of a relationship dynamic, and you always think that's the way it's going to work out. This is what it does. It's not true. Let go of that. Let go of that particular relationship dynamic you believe to be true. It is an old relationship dynamic. It has to do with either relationship you had in the past, even down into your childhood with your parents and your peers. There's some kind of relationship dynamic you need to let go of. Once again, I will say the key to what it is it has a bad ending. Okay? So if there's some kind of relationship dynamic where you say, well, when I do that, my partner does that, oh, this is what happens. That's the key. It's not true. It's not always going to be that. In fact, when you change how you expect it to turn out, you change your behavior, and guess what? The outcome is going to be different. So for each of you, that's going to be different. Like I say, the key is when it has a bad ending, then you know when you're thinking a thing out and it has a bad ending, that's a clear indication it's an old thing, it's an old relationship dynamic, it's an old story. Let it go. Right, guys, I do hope that you enjoyed that reading. If you'd like a personal or private reading with me, and I do an incredible soulmate reading, you can contact me via my website. I will put the link in the description box below. It's under that little drop down arrow once this video has finished processing. I want to thank you for the likes. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks so much. I truly appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon. Oh yes, I'm sending you hugs and love for July as well.